Hi, I'm Professor Leah Rapaner. As a sociologist, I've made it my life's mission to take down every ridiculous gender myth out there. Like, do pretty people get paid more, or are women better multitaskers? This is Misperceived.
Welcome to Misperceived. On today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about the question that keeps coming up for me again, and again. I am going to bet the reason this question keeps coming up for me is because you are having a very hard time figuring this out in your own life. And so today I'm going to give you a little advice. The advice is coming from the book. The advice is coming from my life. The advice is coming from the research. Here it goes. What do you do if you keep having the same conversation with your partner, spouse, about sharing housework, the mental load, childcare, careers, and it goes nowhere? I have talked to thousands and thousands of women across the duration of my career, and one thing they keep saying to me is, A, you're a genius. I mean, obviously. B, what you're saying is so right. It's so aligned with how I feel, the world I live in, the experiences I'm having at home. And C, every time I talk to my partner or spouse about how do we get a more equal share, it ends up in a fight. We end up angry with each other, everyone gets defensive, and we all dig in. So what can I do about this? How do I have the conversation in a different way? I am going to talk to you about one of the chapters in my book that talks about this, but it also a conversation I had recently that really helped me crystallize how I think you should go about this, the ways in which I think this will work. So taking two pieces out of my book, Drained, Reduce Your Mental Load to Do Less and Be More, and giving you some insights about things you can do right now, an action plan, a battle plan. Let me imagine that this is how it happens in your house. You are there doing the bulk of the fill in the blank, dishes, laundry, shuttling the children to activities, making sure everyone has summer camp. You are the person who is in charge of that. You're not just in charge of that in terms of the doing. So yes, of course, you're there filling out the forms, making sure everyone has their permission slips, ensuring that the counters are clean, the dishes are washed, and everyone has their favorite sippy cup, lunch pail clean and ready every single night for the next day of work. Not work, children aren't going to work, school. In addition to that, you're probably doing the remembering, the anticipating, the thinking, the problem solving, the delegating, the coordinating, the anticipating problems, and the monitoring of it all, which are the 7 stages of the mental load. And you are exhausted. Now, there is a moment in which you look at your partner or your spouse and they are sitting somewhere, either watching television, eating some snack, relaxing and doom scrolling on their phone. And you're like, man, this is the moment that I'm going to let it rip. It's like your ability to hold it all in at that moment in time when you are having 8 million things ruminating in your mind, anticipating and remembering, and he is taking a moment of rest is just too much. You can't contain it. The rage comes out and the conflict begins. If I were you, I've never been you ever, wink, I would imagine that this looks something like this. I am overwhelmed. I'm doing too much. What the fuck are you doing? And if you have time to just sit around and scroll and I'm exhausted, you should be helping me. I'm going to imagine if you are me, that this then leads to digging in, conflict, and resentment, that actually it leads to no better outcome. It jeopardizes the quality of your relationship, and it makes you actually just further apart. It puts space in, like each other less, connect to each other less, help each other less, do less, be less. And there are moments perhaps in your household where that reverberates around the household. You know that the kids can feel it. You know that the dog can feel it. You know that even the cat can feel it, and yet you can't stop. There is a chapter in my book about Freya who has this exact moment. And one of the things she says to me in the interviews is she said, I always thought that being a mother was hard. And the only way I knew I was doing it right was if there was conflict, if I felt overwhelmed, if I felt exhausted, if I felt like it was too much, then I was being a good mom. But the funny thing is, according to her, that being in that behavior, being in that mindset, being in that way of being didn't create better outcomes for the family. It created distance. It made it hard to connect. And so is this the way to approach it? And I think a lot of it is challenging. You're being primed to think about equality. You're being primed to think about who's doing what. And you're being primed to ask for your partner to do more. I'm going to suggest to you a different way to approach this. I'm going to suggest to you kind of two different caveats in it in terms of how you should be thinking about how to approach this type of question in your relationship. The first is that I want you to understand the way in which gender norms are actually making it very difficult for you each to hear each other. This is a key chapter or dimension of my book. And I want you to understand is that he cannot actually necessarily understand what you're going through because he is not going through it himself. One of the key findings of my book was that actually those couples who are LGBTIQ plus, who were partnered with either someone who is, of the same sex or the same gender or non-binary or someone who is trans, they had an ability to see the way in which gender norms, gender roles structure our lives. The way in which when I say to my husband or spouse or partner, like, I cannot actually bring the children to school looking like this because I will be judged as a mother and I will be judged as a person. That often the response is to minimize, to gaslight, to say like, no, you're wrong. That's not true. No one cares. Only you care. You're a perfectionist. You care too much. And what this does is it undermines women's feelings. It makes them feel like they're caring about things that they shouldn't. It makes them feel like they are the problem. I am here to tell you that the research, my research with Sarah Tabell and Sabina Cornrich, shows you're not the problem. You are right. That in fact, people are going to judge you more harshly for things like the cleanliness of your room. But I'm also going to say to you that when your spouse or partner says to you that he is worried that there will be a penalty for him at work, if he takes time off, if he looks not serious, if he is uncommitted to his job, he is also right. And I have research showing that too. So we did a research project with Mark Chong, Leah Furman, and Sheila Najoto, in which we showed that fathers who had a gap in their employment, who took time off to be the primary carer of their children, were much less likely to be hired. They were not hired by humans. They didn't want them, especially in men-dominated jobs. And they weren't being pushed jobs or seen as desirable candidates by AI. The machines had decided they weren't good. So when he says that to you, he is also not lying. Now, I understand that many of you are balancing work and family in ways that are unrelenting. The standards are too high, you feel overwhelmed, and you are both coming into that conversation exhausted. You are both feeling like you cannot give more. You are both feeling like it is all too much. And you are both feeling like the ask is actually a violation of the love you have for each other. If you understand how hard this was for me, you wouldn't ask me to give more. If you understand how hard this is for me, you would step in to help. Does that conversation resonate? Does it connect with you? Because this is what I heard across the interviews, that anytime people came in to these conversations, they came in with backs up and misunderstandings. So the first thing I want to do is say, can we understand that we are coming in with that energy? We are coming in with that feeling, men and women alike. And can we just remain a little bit curious in the first instance? Can we decide about whether we are going to come in and understand truly what the other person is saying to us and believe them truly that what they are saying to us is actually how they feel? That is my request A. And I'm saying this to the men on this audience who are listeners. When she says to you, I actually feel like this is a big deal and people are going to treat it like a big deal. Even if you don't think it is, it is. You are wrong. And if you are women listeners and he's coming in and saying, I actually think my boss is going to punish me and penalize me and I am going to be less likely to get promotions and stuff at work if I do this, he is right. And the fear of not supporting the family, because we expect men to be breadwinners, we expect them to bring in more money, is huge and tremendous, and he is not lying to you either. Okay, so that's A. B is one of the things I do in my mental load audit is I ask you to get crystal clear on your goals, your dreams, and your ambitions in year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 5. What are your short-term goals? What are your medium-term goals? What are your long-term goals? The reason I'm asking you to do this is I can see across the interviews that women have lost their dream building ability. That's an interesting alliteration. They have lost their dream building ability over time, slowly, by putting the needs of others first and putting them down to the bottom of the list. We did another podcast on this, and I'm asking you to reignite that dream building. But what is happening in that is I think one of the challenges is women are coming in at 0 and they are exhausted. And that is leading to the conflict. They're coming in saying, I am so overwhelmed and I'm so exhausted and I want you to fix this or help me. I want you to listen and help and fix. I am going to ask for you to come in with a different approach. I am going to ask that when you come into that conversation with your spouse, you come in like this. I've been reflecting. And one of the things that I really want to do is I want to start prioritizing my health. I want to start having time for relaxation. I want to start to be able to everyday exercise. I want to start thinking about how do I build my career. I want to have a promotion in a year. I want to go for this new job. I want to become the boss of my company. I want to start my own business. Come in with your dreams. Come in with where you want to be. What is it that you are aspiring to do? And then I want you to turn to him and say, how do I get there? How can we as a family help me get there? What can we do to make this happen? This is really, really important to me. How can we make this work? And then I want you to listen. I want you to hear what he says in response. When I saw this in the couples who went through the audit, when I saw this in the couples who I gave money to, Katrina had one of these moments of getting clear on, I am important, I am valuable, and my dreams are worthy of investment from the family. When we start to transition this and we start to say, here's what I'm trying to do, how do I get there? As opposed to, here's what I'm doing, why are you not doing what I'm doing? Or why are you hanging me out to dry? I think you're going to have a much more productive conversation. I heard this in the interviews, and there's one example in my book where this was a real connector for that couple, talking about their dreams and ambitions together and how they're going to help and support each other, whether that looks like money, whether that looks like time, whether that looks like reallocating the mental load, whether that looks like hiring someone in to help, whether that looks like an interstate move, whether that looks like a Friday or a Saturday off. That is a solution to help to support the dream. And what I found was that for dads, for fathers, and for men, they hadn't killed their dream building ability. They were actually deeply invested in it. They saw their dreams as being key to the family's success. And what that meant was they didn't feel guilt. They didn't feel anxiety. They didn't feel bad when they took things, time, energy, emotional support from the family. They didn't feel bad about that. And so if you're in a heterosexual partnership, it's possible that he will have an understanding of what you're trying to do and connect back in. And if he doesn't, that's an indication for you, right? That's an indication that this is not the person who can do that for you. I am not here to say what is the next step on that. For some of you, it will be acknowledging, okay, I can't go to this person for this type of support. And so I need to figure out who I can go to. It doesn't mean you have to leave your marriage. For some of you, you might want to, but for others of you, it might just be I can't come to this stone and ask for blood. Isn't that some sort of analogy? But this is not the person who's going to be able to help me on this or support me on this. I need to find my people. And that's another phase of the audit. Who are your people? Who are your people that can help you to do what you need to do? You can have two lists: people in your life, friends, family, mentors, and you can have people in your work lives. They can help you do that. And the problem is, if you're going to your boss to help you fix your marriage, that's probably a problem. So you need to figure out who can help you with this. And if you're going to your partner and he can't help you with your work and be your boss because he doesn't know your industry, he doesn't know how it works, he doesn't know your workplace culture, then you're going to the wrong person to get the support for your dreams, right? Sometimes, of course, we can go to them to tell them about what's going on for us and get emotional support. But if you're really trying to work for, you got to get clear on what you want. What's the ask? What's the need? And where are you going? I think if we start to do this, we'll have much better outcomes. We'll have better conversations. You'll feel less guilty about taking time. You'll feel less guilty about taking money, and you'll get crystal clear on who is good at giving you what based on what you need at the time and where you're heading in your life. I hope, my dream is that this creates a more harmonious marriage, a harmonious partnership, harmonious family, because you are now no longer asking that one person to be everything for you. You are now understanding what you actually need at this moment in time and who you should ask for it. And you can get clear on the ask with your partner, and you can both come together to work to support your dreams. I am going to bet, you're a woman listening to this, that you understand this intuitively, how wonderful it is to think about what other people can do, how beautiful it is when you create the circumstance so that your children can succeed, so their dreams can come true. Let other people in on the fun. Let other people help you to work towards your dreams. Let other people feel that sense of self-accomplishment, of love, of joy, watching you strive and thrive. And let them be a part of that process for you. Open yourself up to receive that. In conclusion, 2 things, just to summarize, because I've blabbed at you. 1, get clear on your dreams, get clear on the ask, and come into your partnership with that as the first step. If your partner can do it, amazing. What a gift it is for you, for him, for her to be on that journey towards your greatness together. If they can't, and you've asked clearly, find your other people who can. Identify the things they can give to you and be sure on asking them for those things. But find your other crew. Don't give up on your dreams and your ambitions. Find someone else who can help. And see, when you both say, this is all too much for me, you're not lying to each other. The reason is we're operating in systems with outdated norms, in social structures that haven't adapted, that the world is changing quickly, and no, it's not catching up and responding to what you need at this moment in time. And in response to that, we're all trying to do our best for the family. And so coming in with a little more lightness and compassion around this, men to women, when she says, I'm going to get judged for this, it's too much, I can't do it, acknowledge that. I understand. That's awful. It would feel terrible to have people judging me based on the mismatched socks my child wears to school. What a joke. What a terrible world we live in. I'm not going to judge you. I think you're great. Have that conversation. And when he says, I'm worried my boss is going to actually punish me for being a dad, for being a caregiver, for being a good partner, say to him, that must feel awful. I can imagine that it'd be terrible to work in a world in which you have to be always strong. You have to be always brave. You have to be always giving more of your energy to your job. That feels terrible. I want that discussion. And then let's work on how do we stop that? How do we dismantle some of these social norms? How do we use sociology as our superpower to help us all feel less of that pressure? Because it doesn't lead to better decisions. It doesn't lead to better outcomes or better marriages. It just leads to stress, strain, and overwhelm. What do you think about this? Can you give me your feedback? Anything you do, we love. If you can rate, comment, share, clip, whatever, I don't know, use the AI to have it go somewhere. Everything you do, every way you touch this podcast really does help. And it's so wonderful to be a part of this conversation with you. I love it, love it, love it. If there are things you want me to talk about, things that you're struggling with, send me something somewhere, Instagram, LinkedIn, email about what you're thinking about. And as per always, I just love being here with you. It's amazing. Sorry, side note, I'm almost done. I had a conversation with a woman the other day who said listen to your podcast all the time, and I feel like I can step into the world with more bravery. I ask for things that I want. I'm not afraid to shoot my shot now because I know that I can. Can you tell me, like, I cried my eyeballs out after that conversation? Oh, it was so beautiful. So please know that your stories really mean a lot to me, and I love to hear them. And sometimes you never know. You put this stuff out and you don't know how it hits people. But when you tell me how it hits you, how it resonates, how it changes how you think, or, even when I get it wrong, I love it. So thank you for everything. Have a most wonderful week. Thanks for listening to Misperceived, where you don't need a PhD. Don't do it. It's a lot of work. Just come hang out with me. Have a good week. Bye. We are so lucky and grateful that this series is being supported by the Melbourne Public Humanities Initiative at the University of Melbourne.